Hi, welcome to Breaking In, where I talk about unconventional paths to Wall Street. A lot of students ask me, should I do an MBA or a CFA? I ended up doing both, but I started as a horse trainer, and 5 years later, I was managing the #1 fund in the world. It was a big transition, and I needed all the help I can get. I was a horse trainer, and my horse trainer said to me, I don't want you to do this by default. I want you to go to graduate school in something, face your opportunities, and then if you decide to be a horse trainer full-time, I will support you. I went to graduate school, started trading stocks, fell in love with it. When I graduated USC MBA, I was working for the junk bond king, Mike Milken, which was quite a transition from entering as a horse trainer. The MBA is more generalized than a CFA. It allows for networking and really helps with career transitions. Learn what you want to do, be it sales, marketing, accounting, statistics. It's all there available to learn. Check out what you like. You may come in with a background like mine as a horse trainer, or you may come in with an engineering background and want to jump into finance, or with a finance background and know that you really prefer sales and marketing. A generalized MBA allows you to check out what you're going to love, where your passions are, and share those with other people. A lot of people talk about an MBA as being a great place to network. I just came in, took my classes, did my tests, went off horse riding, and wasn't really focused on that. And yet just by being in courses with people, being thrown on teams with people, even someone like me that barely networked in my MBA, I have used my network and been able to leverage that. It is of a huge value. The third piece is career transitions. Not everyone's going to be as extreme as me, going from being a horse trainer to running a fund on Wall Street. Yet it's unreasonable to think that at the age of 16, you have your entire life mapped out. Many of us start a career in our 20s that we may want to do a very large pivot. Going to an MBA allows for a much bigger pivot than if I had a resume that said I was a litigation paralegal and focused on asbestos litigation, and then I was a horse trainer. It's very hard to explain why someone would hire me to manage money. If I have a USC MBA, it's much easier to explain to employers a fairly large transition, say from horse training to managing money, or from sales and marketing to finance. It's easier to explain when you show that you've dedicated time and effort into re-educating yourself. Also, MBAs have alumni networks and career services where there are companies recruiting from your MBA programs, further fueling your career transition. Let's look at the CFA. Depending on the career trajectory, some of my mentees ask me, Emmy, I don't want to derail my career. It's the career I already want. I'm on that path, and I'm worried that if I take the time out for an MBA, it's going to take up a bunch of money, and it'll actually derail my career. This can be true, especially if you have gone from investment banking to private equity. If you're in money management and you want to manage money the rest of your career, then a CFA is probably better than an MBA. On the other hand, if you're thinking that you may want to get into managing people and move up into the executive ranks of your investment bank, your private equity firm, etc., sometimes an MBA is helpful in order to not create a ceiling in your career where people don't want to promote you. You can do an evening or an executive MBA to make sure that you remove any obstacles. However, if you really know yourself and you prefer managing money and that's the most exciting thing to do, then a CFA makes a lot of sense because you don't derail your career and it's specialized instead of generalized. You go to the next level beyond your MBA in options calculations, Black-Scholes, bond calculations, valuation, and even ethics. It allows you to show potential employers that you've really dug in and know your stuff. The second piece that I've found is the focus that a CFA has on ethics. can be both good and bad, and that's not a popular opinion. When I joined Palantir Capital, which was a hedge fund, in 1999, we were at the height of the internet boom. I was at the Goldman Sachs Tech Conference in Phoenix, sitting around with a bunch of other hedge fund analysts. They didn't know I had a CFA. And they were saying, anyone with a CFA is too bookish, and they can never really pick a stock. They don't have that instinct for stocks. And I thought, I don't have to put the CFA designation on my business card. So when I was at that hedge fund, I never had the CFA designation on my business card. Fast forward a few years after the internet bust, when Enron had gone bankrupt, WorldCom had gone under, all of these frauds had happened. Companies wanted someone with an ethics background. So that CFA, I put that right back on my resume, and the companies that were interviewing me were excited that I had a CFA and highlighting the ethics portion of the CFA. Not that studying ethics will make you more ethical, but it made companies more comfortable to hire me. The final reason to take a CFA versus an MBA is the career value. And here we're talking about career momentum versus career transition. It can help you as well if you're coming straight out of college from a non-traditional background and you want to prove how dedicated you are to the industry. You can take your CFA level 1 while you're still in school because you don't have to prove yet that you have time in the industry. You can get going early and show that motivation that will set you apart as compared to others that may have an Ivy League background that the Wall Street banks are looking for. If you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you at the next video.